The Workplace Ninja podcast is live again from our new collaboration day. Peter, we have a collaboration day. What's that?
It's basically a day where the Workplace Ninjas are working together.
On some nice stuff, presentations.
Yep.
But also recording.
Also recording the podcast, yeah.
Yeah, and we will try to kick it off with some new stuff, Kenneth. What are we going to do in this recording?
Yeah, I think we are going to go through all the Intune announcements from the last months.
Yeah.
And keep doing that in order to inform our listeners on what's new and what our take is on that released functionality.
Yeah. So basically, on our collaboration day, once in 2 months, we'll try to organize that, and so every 2 months we try to do an into what's new, see what's
new.
Yeah, so what's new, and dive in. Into everything what's happened in the new releases. Who do I have on the table? Sander?
Yes.
And?
Joost?
I'm Kenneth.
Kenneth?
And Peter.
And my name is Frans. And we will dive into everything Intune. So starting with Peter. And now all the things are open. Peter, what is your most important thing in the last few months in Intune?
In the last few months, and it's not mainly the topic of today, but I think the biggest announcement was the release of Intune Suite, and I think we will cover Intune Suite in one of the next podcast series. But next to that, I think Copilot in Intune. Copilot is the buzzword of the last few months. Copilot is everywhere and also in Intune.
Yeah, we did already a recording about ChatGPT, AI, and what the importance is of AI in our work area. Is the release of Copilot, is that already a big, whoa, we need that, or is it just the beginning?
Good question. I've been privileged to be able to access it via one of my customers. He's part of the early access program, and so I've been able to play a little bit with Security Copilot, and the Intune part is part of the Security Copilot. So you need to have access to Security Copilot with all the licenses around it. It's GA since the 1st of April, and it wasn't a joke. It's really there. Is it finished? I think for the Intune side, you have some pre-canned questions you can ask, and it can be helpful.
I saw some of the guys we were working with have him play around from the 1st of April, and it's a bit tricky sometimes. What do you want to ask? How do you ask it? What the results are?
So I think the story around Security Copilot is good. The potential is really there if you can ask just a normal question to Copilot, and then Copilot is getting the information from all the different systems, and then give an answer you can use as a threat hunter or when you need to report something. For Intune, we have a couple of pre-canned options. Now, for instance, which can be helpful, is to basically ask the summarization of a big policy. If you have a policy based on the settings catalog, that can be hundreds or maybe thousands of settings. I don't know the limit on top of my head, but it can be very, very difficult to see, okay, what is this policy all about? And then if you ask Copilot, okay, summarize this policy, then Copilot will make a summarization, which you can use. Okay, this policy is used for this. You can also see differences or ask differences between policies.
Impact. That's a big
impact
one for me as well.
What is Kenneth, what is for you the biggest impact around Copilot and Intune? Was that the wow factor on first hand, or
No,
not directly?
Not really. I really see this as a starting point, allowing us to further evolve with the whole prompting thing going on. I think it's good that it's in there, and it will definitely help us later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for now, at least from my perspective, we need some learning time in order to actually learn what the added value could be of this whole Copilot thing.
And I think what I have played a bit, and what I see, it's learning from both ends. So learning on the AI side. So the AI machine learning needs to be investigated the back end. So it needs all the information, and we need to learn how to prompt, what to ask to get the right answer.
For that reason, the Intune team decided to have the pre-canned prompts. To only also show, okay, this is now supported, and all the open prompting can be done from the Security Copilot console with the Intune plugin enabled.
Yeah.
But from the Intune side, you can look, for instance, what Joost was saying. Okay, per policy, you can get the information, see what the impact will be of the policy setting you want to change, and that's can be helpful.
And with the relation of Entra, with conditional access and stuff, getting an assessment, ask Copilot for, I have these conditional access policies, I have these compliance policies, what is the impact if I do this, or which user isn't impacted with all these policies? These kind of questions are, it's kind of hard at the moment.
Yep. Well, the big thing on the back end of the Copilot is that it's called grounding, and the reason why Microsoft is providing just a few pre-configured prompts is to make sure the answer from Copilot is always the same.
Yep.
And when you are when people are asking questions from their own context, there can be a difference in the answers, and then for some reason the impact is high, and maybe you change the question a bit. It's medium for the same policy, so that's the reason why.
Yeah, and it's really confusing for the end user.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So
it's a matter of time.
Yeah, it's the starting point. So I think a lot is coming, and it gives a huge potential for automating our work, and not automating in the way you do, Sander, but automating for us to. Not that we dive into each policy to see what it's doing, but that Copilot can help with that.
Well, yes, of course, you do have infrastructure as code, and I'm also looking to Microsoft's 365 as code. But when you're looking to Copilot, it can be really an extension for your automation sequences, because now the platform itself is working for you, instead of you have to configure and think how stuff works and write lots of code to make to get all the data at the right place, and then distillate the right data to the right positions. And now Copilot is doing that for you. So you just have to ask one good question. Give me some policy with the impact is high and I want to change it for some reason. Then you don't have to write all the code for that.
Yep.
Just ask a question. Yep. But then you have to get an answer that's always correct. Otherwise you will destroy your environment, for example.
Yeah, that was Copilot. Copilot is a big announcement from a Microsoft side the last few weeks. But in the Intune release, there was much more. What was the most important thing for you in the last Intune release, Kenneth?
Well, I'm not certain if it's really the most important one, but I did notice that we can now configure Dell hardware settings from the settings catalog. And what I find most interesting now is that we now see that hardware vendors are integrating their solutions into the Intune product. We are not there yet, but I think when looking at my customers, they know how to configure their Windows devices, how to put security baselines on them. but for some reason they always forget that also the hardware must be configured in a certain way. So make sure that secure boot is turned on. Make sure that there is a password in order to access the configuration of the device itself. And by actually integrating that into Intune, we can make sure that we don't forget those settings as well. So I think this is actually, for me, this is the missing part that we have in the device configuration, and making sure that we are in total control of what the device can do. And now with the option to actually implement the what we call the CCTK file for people working with Dell, it's like an ini file with all the settings that you want. And we are certainly not there yet. We are missing support from other vendors, etc. But it's a first step. And I think it's becoming very important to also integrate that into Intune as well.
Yeah, and it's mainly a Dell solution, right? HP does it a different way. It also integrates with Intune via the partners portal. And with HP Connect, you can manage your BIOS fully, make it passwordless even.
Indeed.
And but with Dell, you need to have the Dell client to create the file you discussed, and you are able to deploy that file. But you need to have an agent on the device to make sure that the file can be handled the right way.
Yeah, there are differences between the vendors how they are managing it. What I know within HP, you need an app rack, so you can access. So HP can access the data in your tenant. So you need to
groups.
There needs some access between it.
Yep.
Dell does it with a file that you can use, but also directly through the agent, the software that is on the device itself. So there is no direct integration with the Intune API or the Intune extension on your endpoint that talks to directly into the BIOS, for example.
Oh, but I think when you look at it from a single pane of glass or a single pane of control point of view, that having the options in the Intune portal is already a big plus compared to how it was done in the past.
Definitely.
So, of course, we have all kinds of solutions using proactive remediations, scripting, custom applications, etc. But I think the most important part is that we have a central pane of glass where also BIOS configuration is part of the total configuration of a device, and that should be the message.
Yeah. And on the other hand, what we already had, drivers, firmware updates through Windows updates. So the firmware updates for the BIOS, for Dell, for Lenovo, for HP, that is already integrated in the Windows updates for business. So I think the whole stack, endpoint management, from BIOS to Windows, with everything in between, that can be done within it.
Yeah. So to give you an example, if a customer would ask me what hardware to buy, I would definitely take this support, if the vendor supports this kind of stuff, into account. Because maybe for €10, if another device is €10 cheaper, you will actually get that money back if you integrate it into the total solution when you look at the total cost of ownership of a device. So for me, it's a must-have actually to have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Joost, what was for you the thing to mention in this recording?
Yeah, I got several, but I will point out one. Particular one is it's the EPM, so endpoint privilege management, and then support approval. So we got now the opportunity to let a user ask for something to elevate, an installation, Visual Studio Code, send it to a support admin. He can approve or deny it. And when it's approved, your user is getting a notification on the device. He can elevate it again to install it. And that's, I think, a bigger feature, what's needed for the EPM as well to be a bigger one. So
if I'm a normal user, I have an installer that doesn't work. I can right-click,
so you
get an approval, and then it will send through EPM to a support a support guy or girl, and they only need to do approve or deny. And if it's approved, then it's automatically organized within EPM, or do I need to do extra stuff as a support?
No, it's going to be working for 24 hours. So you're allowed to do the thing you want to do for 24 hours. And then it's going to be removed again from your elevation point of view. And the only thing you have to do as a support engineer is being able to get to the part of the endpoint privilege management. Then you can approve or deny it. And you have to point out the reason, so it's audited as well. So you can do something with it. There is not an ability to create a rule of it. So you need to, if you want to do it for more users, you need to create a separate rule for it. But for that user, it's going to work for 24 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a part of the feature EPM, but was missing, right? Haven't used it at all at customers, and now still some people who are using third parties are still missing a lot of features. The investment is also big from Microsoft side, so a lot of new stuff will be coming in the next few months/years. But now with the barrier, the approval, it's at least we can use it to at least control.
Is EPM already that far that it can be used within a large enterprise environment?
Depends on your scenario, I think.
But Monday I'm going to talk with a bigger company about EPM because I think it's more there. We're able to do the things we want to do with it. It's easier, more respectful for the user as well. So definitely look into EPM as a solution to manage your normal users, to give them extra rights on a certain moment.
It can also be a group of users within the organization. Yeah. So one misconception that I heard a lot is that people say, well, for EPM we need to buy the suite. But that's not totally true, because you can also buy EPM alone, which costs $3 per user per month. And if it's for a specific group of users, take for example developers. I think it's worthwhile the cost. You should really ask yourself, do I need it for all my users within the organization? Could be, but why not start with the users who benefit from it the most? Which in most cases, in my opinion, should be developers who sometimes need local admin rights in order to install stuff.
And is it local admin rights on a full machine, or is it only elevation on a MSI on a certain location or whatever?
On what they request, and that is the specific MSI. In that
it's a bit of the UAC, but you are used to see the screen when you're installing a program, for example, and it's requesting access to install on a machine while you don't have admin access on that machine.
So but
only for that particular executable.
Yeah. No, and the processes started by the executable. So if you, for instance, in a local admin scenario, say, okay, the command.exe can be elevated through EPM, and you can configure all the processes started within that process are also
elevated.
You can also say no, only this process. So it's a choice.
Yeah, but it's not that I can request a local admin permission so that I am fully local admin.
Then you need to have labs. That's a completely different solution, but
I need temporary local admin. From the past, we had some tools for that. But within EPM, I can start a command line instance, and if I do that, I can organize it on the other side. Everything started from that process is elevated.
Yep.
So I think we can cover every scenario
almost.
So with that said, I think EPM is available, and you definitely look into EPM if you have normal users, especially a developer scenario, and probably some others.
Yeah, and what we will see from here is there's other functionality within the Intune suite as well. And there will be a tipping point that if you start using a lot of the functionality, that buying the suite will be cost you less, to say so.
What do we have in the Intune suite? EPM, Cloud PKI,
The remote control.
Advanced Analytics.
remote help.
Advanced app management.
Advanced app management. There was also a release about the app management portal. Or what was it?
Yeah, I heard something about new applications being added, Joost.
Yeah, there's been announced that there is 100 plus extra applications in the advanced app management.
And that's also part of Intune Suite.
Yeah.
Do we have other things in Intune Suite? I
Let
think
me
we covered most.
Check Cloud PKI, Enterprise Application, Advanced Analytics, of course.
Yeah.
Remote help. We see some. FOTA, that is
the
firmware
Android,
over the air.
As for the
Android.
Android, yeah.
But I have many customers asking that for that as well. The Intune Tunnel for mobile application management, which is also in the plan 2, by the way. And more and more functionality being added.
And there is more to come.
Yeah. But my personal opinion, in the beginning, I was a little bit skeptic about buying extra licenses, but I see the added value more and more.
Yeah, that's what Microsoft also said, to add more functionality into the suite instead of providing separate solutions for a single license.
Yeah, but at Intune Suite, as how I see it, Intune Suite is on top of E3 and E5, and it's specific functionality and specific scenarios like EPM, like Cloud PKI. It's not part of the basic functionality that we need to manage the devices, and the functionality in E3 is the basic things that we need in order to manage devices. E5 is with some...
No, we don't know E5 in Intune.
And not
just
in Intune.
Intune Core, and then Intune...
so Intune Suite is
on top of Intune Core.
Somewhat E5.
It's an extension.
It's an extension.
See it as one big extension.
Yeah.
Nice. Sander, for you, what was the thing in the what's new from the last few months that triggered you?
Yeah, well, I'm looking to Intune from more an automation perspective, but the thing I've seen is the config refresh, which is also in this last release. It's a setting that you can put into a configuration policy that says to the device to refresh more often the configuration instead of the default 8 hours. And that can be helpful when you see in Intune. Sometimes a device has other settings on it than Intune shows up. And the config refresh can help you with that. Yeah,
my new thing was the security baseline. Finally, we have a security baseline for 23H2. So it takes a long time. Do we have thoughts about why did it take so long?
But your config refresh is a little bit bigger than what we talked about right now.
Yeah.
So maybe we have to...
Yeah, but let's finish this one and we'll come back.
Yeah.
But what was the reason? Any thoughts about why did it take so long?
Finally.
We have no specific reason. Also no inside information on why it took so long. But I can imagine, especially for a company like Microsoft, that they have to do a lot of testing and validation testing in order for them to release something. Because if it breaks something at customers, they are screwed, to say so. On the other hand, it's better than having nothing, don't get me wrong. But I hope they will actually, that this will be a starting point of having a security baseline released at the same time that a new feature update will be released as well.
Yeah.
So if 24H2 comes out, they are already talking about it, that we can expect an accompanying security baseline as well on soon, because we need a security baseline in order to do the rollout of the feature update, and not the other way around. So
but on the other hand, the settings are documented upfront, and then the security baseline needs to be implemented within the product. So
Yeah, there's one big thing about that. We have a documented security baseline, but if you look at the security baseline, it's mainly targeted still for AD joint devices. So there are lots of settings in there which are only applicable for a domain joint device.
Yeah.
So actually, the security baseline which is released now is actually more like a translation of that security baseline towards a modern workplace.
Yeah.
So there are some settings different in there. And that translation needs to be done, of course. We need all the settings in the settings catalog because it's settings catalog based. So I can imagine that it's not easy for Microsoft to implement that. But I do hope they realize it's a must-have and not a nice-to-have, in my opinion.
On the other hand, if you look at the toolkit, which is Microsoft also releasing, it's indeed all focused on GPOs. You can, if you find their exported GPOs, you can import in your environment, but not something like JSON file we can import and tweak.
I already had that discussion with lots of security assessment companies. They actually send in a junior employee, with all respect. They actually run a script. And that script looks on the device in all kinds of GPO locations, actually missing all the CSP configuration being done. Yeah. And in the end, it takes me a lot of time in order to explain to my customer, we are doing this setting, but in another way. So in the end, we shouldn't forget that actually Windows can be managed in multiple ways. We have GPO, we have registry locations, we have the CSPs, we have the WMI bridge, all kinds of ways to do that. But due to that, it becomes complex if you look at it from another point of view.
Yeah, it's good that we have it.
And from that, the new security baseline, I've seen the one for Edge when creating a new baseline for that. There is also a new API available from the Intune portal, where you can, which you can use for settings review, and that's a really nice feature. You can also see it in the portal when you're opening the baseline and you scroll through the settings. Then you also see now some recommendations from Microsoft for, hey, most organizations like you are using this setting with this value instead of what you're using now. It's not hard-coded that they say you have to change the setting, but it changes maybe your thoughts to enable or disable some settings.
This is really gold. Having that telemetry data available. Yeah, so awesome.
It's good that we have it.
Yeah. Hey, Joost, you still wanted to add something to the config refresh.
Yeah, because it's not only refreshing online, it is also refreshing offline. So when your device is not connected to the internet and someone is tinkling with your settings, it's going to be refreshed in the setting you want to set. So if you set it to 90 or 60 minutes, default is 90, it's going to be refreshed.
And where does he get these settings from? Because I read someone in the Teams channels that they suggesting it's only using the cached settings on the device itself that is refreshed instead of getting it from Intune.
I can tell you have to go to Rudy's blog, but so call for
I've
cloud.
seen that also.
And if I see it correctly, I've seen it. It's being set into the registry, the policy manager, and there you can get. He's getting in all the information and is resetting it to the settings you wanted to have.
All right, that makes sense.
And Rudy has been tinkling a lot with it, breaking it a little bit, but it corrected itself in the 90 minutes. So it's, I think it's also a big security feature as well. So I've been playing with it. Unfortunately, it's not there yet with the settings catalog items. It's saying they're coming soon. So if you set it with the settings catalog, it's not going to work. You have to still set it with the OMA URIs. But somewhere it's going to the setting catalog as well. And if you set it, I think it's a good feature. You have to think about how many times you want it to reset, because if you have a lot of policies, your device is going to be a little bit, doing a lot of CPU memory stuff. But what if we've seen for normal tenants, 60 minutes to 90 minutes is a good feature. Then a hacker or someone more advanced user tinkling with your settings has about an hour to do some strange stuff, but in an hour it's going to be reset it again. So for me, this is an underneath big feature.
Now,
That's cool.
what I'm curious about is how long does it take to, for example, 100 policies to be set? Because if you set it to 60 minutes, for example, and the config refresh will take 1 hour and 50 minutes,
Seconds.
then it's not getting round to it.
It's seconds.
Just seconds. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
To finish up, one last thing.
One last thing.
One more thing.
One more thing. Yeah. Besides what we talked about, there's also a lot of investment in mobile still. And one of the things I just noticed, and I also noticed it already in the portal also, is that we finally have assignment filters on the app protection policies and app configuration policies. So we can use filters now.
Yeah, and
That's a big one.
I think
For
that
sure.
really helps.
It definitely helps.
Well, it's a big, it's a use best practice using filters instead of groups. So
Yeah, and some updates, Windows for updates, and expediting stuff for security
Yep.
updates.
And non-security updates, optional updates can be
Yeah.
expedited as well now.
Yeah, that was a new thing,
Yeah,
right?
That's
The
also
optional
quite
one.
interesting.
Yeah.
So
We didn't mention investments in macOS, iOS. So
yeah, indeed. Yeah.
there are also a big investment that Microsoft is doing in that area.
There's a lot going on the macOS management part. Maybe a good subject for a next podcast, Frans. Yeah.
Probably in 2 months, and probably we will know more. There's a lot of things running, not complete at the moment. So what you see in the what's new at the moment, some small investment, but maybe the next time we have some bigger things to announce, or not announce, but to discuss in
Talk
this
about,
Yeah.
in this area. Any other thing? Looking around.
nope.
I've got one, but I think it's a bigger topic as well, but it is device query in advanced analytics.
Yep.
And device query is a KQL query-based thing where we can ask something to a device and get instant response from that device if it's online.
Is that maybe a good topic, advanced analytics, to dive in the next one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's basically say and pivot, but now for
Yeah.
Intune.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So we as config manager guys already know a lot about C and pivot.
Let's do a recording on C and Pivot, including the queries.
Yeah.
So what it was and what it is now. Let's do that for the next time. So definitely wait for that one. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And thank you guys here on the table. And if you are listening or watching, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and our podcast platforms.
Join us on Meetup. We are
Please review.
everywhere,
We are
except on
everywhere.
TikTok. We are not on TikTok.
We are not on TikTok.
We are
and we
not
don't,
on
and we don't want to do that. But
Not yet.
give us a review on the different platforms, so we know how to perform, how we perform, and what we can improve. If you have other feedback, please let us know on our social media channels, and then I will say until the next time. Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.
See ya.
Bye.